welcome to another episode of the Choose Your Soul Show. We are your hosts. My name's Hakeem,
My name's Alyssa.
and we are passionate about creating conversation and perspective to help you choose yourself and strengthen your soul. Today's special guest, Soul Seeker, has been edited, filtered, cropped, boxed in, and still came out with a backbone. She's a former journalist who could write your story, hold your attention, and pass every evaluation except the one that really mattered, the one with herself. She grew up with a mixed identity in a world that wanted her to pick a side, play it safe, water it down to make other people comfortable. As a light-skinned African living in Texas, where you could only be black, white, or Mexican, some spaces told her she was too much. Some spaces told her she was not enough. And the media told her she had to be neutral just to be credible. But now, she's done being digestible. She's breaking free from the mold she once had to contort herself into. She's building a business, a voice, and a purpose rooted in her actual story, not the sanitized version. So if you ever had to code switch your truth, shrink to fit in, or trade your magic for approval, this episode is your permission to take all your parts off mute. Please welcome to the mic, the beautifully blended, unboxed, unfiltered Haddie, y'all. Welcome. How you feeling?
Feel great. What an introduction. I need you to introduce me every time I come into any just room. I need you to introduce me.
Yep. I'll
So
follow you
good.
with a megaphone wherever you go
Yeah,
forever.
there you go.
Forever.
Yeah. I'm like one of the boxers. I want to come in with a full announcement by Hakeem.
We love it. Oh my gosh. So happy to have you. I'm so excited for our conversation. I'm excited for every conversation, but it's always good to connect with new people. And I'm excited to get to know you. Why don't you tell us about like growing up mixed? How did you feel like you were too much of one thing or not enough of the other? Or how did this shape your sense of belonging or lack of it?
Man, it's so funny because I literally was just thinking about this yesterday. For me, growing up, I realized, like, I mean, I always say, like, I had an identity crisis, but it's funny because, like I said, I grew up with my own kind of roots, right? So I'm North African. My dad is from Tunisia, my mom is from Sudan. That mix alone doesn't really happen. I mean, even the split between what I am between my parents, it's like I'm not too much of anything because Sudanese people tend to look black. They have dark features, and I think Tunisian people I could definitely look like them, but like I've grown up immersed in Sudanese culture, so it's just like there's a mixed match in every way, And then like Hakeem said, I grew up in Texas, and at that point there was really no there I feel like people weren't as informed as they are now, So people didn't know where to place me. This is what I realized is most of the time people need a category to put somebody in or a label to put somebody on because it makes them feel more comfortable to go, okay, this is what you are, so I know how to identify you. But for me, it was definitely a struggle, and I had to kind of find myself through the exploration of kind of shape shifting. You know what I mean? Into different things for different people.
Is that what
You know what's funny for me? So ever since I was a little kid, ever since I was 5, I loved television. I loved TV, but I loved stories. If somebody told me, and I was always real nosy as a little kid. Whenever the grown-ups were talking, I would always kind of sneak over to be like, "Oh, what are they talking about?" Like I loved hearing some sort of story. And so, when I was younger, I remember telling my dad 'cause I thought the way to get on TV was to like just literally just hop in. You take the back off and you hop in. He was not okay with that idea because he found me trying to take the back of the TV off. He was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And so, yeah, once I once I told him, like,
it's like I
okay,
really want
like
to be in
really wanna be
please.
in TV. He was like, "That's not how you do it." And he was like, You're your mother's child." I'm always my
Hell
mom's
no.
child when I'm doing something like that. But yeah, so for me, it's like I wanted to do that ever since I was younger. But then it brought me into a whole nother thing, right? Because I didn't even pursue, despite the fact that I knew my calling at 5, I knew what I wanted to do at 5 years old. Everything about the world I grew up in said that that's not what you should do, right? Because my parents, they're immigrants. I'm a first gen immigrant, which I didn't even know I was not a citizen for the longest time. I was the last person in my family to get my citizenship because nobody told me. Both my younger brothers were born here. My parents came in, but so, being a first gen immigrant, I always kind of had to appeal to I felt closer to the culture that my parents kind of adhered to when they got here. So it was always like, "You're not American." And I'm like, "Okay." But I had never seen or been, I mean, I'd been back home. I got here when I was like 4 or 5, but at some point I forgot about it. I disconnected from all that stuff. It kind of became one of these things where my parents were like, "You need to just get a real job. You need to you need to get a real job. So you need to get something that's secure and that has prestige, like that has status." And so like when I was talking about, you need to be, yeah, I want to be an actor. And they're like, you can be a doctor. That's, or you can be a lawyer or an engineer or a disgrace to the family. You choose. Like those are your options. And even growing up, because I was always really loud with my opinions and stuff like that, which that's a whole separate kind of conversation. And as far as like always feeling like I need to be boxed in because I'm a girl as well, you know what I mean? Just culturally, that they were like, you should just be a lawyer. That's what you should pursue. So it took me some time because I was going to be a lawyer. I thought I pursued that all the way up until like probably the first couple of years of college before I was like, and it took me moving, it took an interruption in my life to go, I don't think I wanna do that, you know what I mean? And once it hit me, I was like, "All right, I'm gonna really go after acting," and then that's kind of what opened the door, right? And that started it, and so I pursued acting for a while, and then after that, it opened up the door to do some MC work and spokesperson work and do some hosting work, and once I did that, I was like, this is what I love, and I can't not do this. So I basically really honed in on and started investing all my energy into just making that happen. And so I ended up going back to school and get my broadcast journalism degree and then, just kind of climb the ranks from there.
Damn. Yeah, no, that boxed in, we're born into that. A
Yeah.
lot of people in the spiritual realm aren't, we know we're born pure, authentic, with no need, no judgments, no beliefs, no name, no understanding, no nothing, just what we came here. And then our environment shapes us, whether you
Mm,
got to be an immigrant, whether you got to be told black or white, or you go to private school, public school, you eat bullshit, you eat clean, you abuse your dogs, you don't water your plants, you experience a bunch of grief or not, but all this stuff molds us. And then, like you said, there's an interruption. For me, it was moving. I think everybody should move out your home state for at least a year because that box is in your mind. It is
mhm.
in your
Yes.
mind, and you think you're gonna go out here and, "Oh, somebody's gonna see. Oh, they might have already been here. Oh, if I do, they going you go out to a new city, you don't even think about what your mom or what your friends, because they don't even know what you're doing. They don't know what you're experiencing. But if you back home, you're like, "Oh, I'm here. All my friends have seen this, and if I mess it up, they're gonna already have an experience that thinks that they know what I would." In New York, y'all ain't never been here, so y'all don't know what the hell I'm doing. So y'all might as well follow along. Or any
Yeah.
city, Texas or any country. So that really helped me because I was living in that box back home, and really couldn't escape. And sometimes we need interruption. Sometimes it's health. Sometimes it's grief. Sometimes it's your doctor. Sometimes it's transitioning. Sometimes you lose a job or you lose family member, and you're like, "All right, I'm done dealing with that shit." But we all do need that interruption. Was there another interruption that came, or was that the main was
My life
moving the
was
city?
full of interruptions. It
Full
was
of
like
interruption.
bad Wi-Fi connection. Like it was just what did you say, Alyssa? I was like a pixelated Minecraft character in my own life. Like I was not in clear focus, And it's primarily like and that's the thing, life will do that to you. Life will keep interrupting, sending you interruptions until you get it, right? Until your programming is in a space that's working for you. And for me, I had a lot of interruptions. So I feel like, we talk about being a society like that has an identity crisis, but I think we're the like not we don't have an identity crisis. I think we actually have an identity obsession, and that's the issue. And I feel like for me, that's really what it was when the peace and the clarity and the path forward is always found in there is no identity. Like you said, we came in with nothing. There was nothing when we came in. And then suddenly all this stuff gets like imprinted onto us and then we identify with it so deeply. It's like you said, for me, leaving Fort Worth was a big step. It was so huge. It was is growing up in Fort Worth. It was a very small city, and on top of that, my parents were real strict. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. If I went out, I had to be careful because I'm like, who knows my dad here? They might see me out. They might report back to him. You are kind of confined to this, and people start to project what your identity is onto you, and then it becomes hard to break out of that because it's like, why are you acting different, or who do you think you are? Like, and so leaving Fort Worth for the first time, that's what actually got me to shake out of the whole I don't want to be a lawyer thing. And I moved to Houston. It was the first time that I was completely living by myself. I was at a new school, but like I wasn't able to be on campus that first semester. So I was actually doing the remote thing way before it was ever a thing. And I can tell you, I was just like, how do people make friends in the real world? I just always had friends. I realized that I never had to actually go look for them or make them. I just had them. And then that network would just kind of keep expanding. But being in that isolation, being in that by myself, just kind of figuring things out. And I remember I had a job that I absolutely hated. I hated this job. And it was a full-time job and it paid really well. I was the youngest working there, so I was excited about it. And I remember if you guys remember those red digital clocks with the red front and it would just be like the alarm that just wakes you out of your sleep in the worst way. And so I remember one day it going off and me having this moment of going like, "Man, I wish I could just sleep and not wake up." And I was like, "Wait a minute. That's death." I was like, "I'd rather die
Hold up.
than go to this job." I was like,
Minute.
"Yo, I can't be doing this." In that moment, it hit me. I was like, "Oh, well, I can't work a job that I don't absolutely love, that does not wake me
Mhm.
up and make me feel like, yes, I'm excited to go there, you know?" That's when I did the whole reevaluation. I remember thinking, "Okay, I'm gonna pursue this whole acting thing." And I can tell you, still I found myself interrupting myself. Like the universe wasn't even interrupting me at some point. At the points where I was really on my path, things were like opening up, but then I would be like, I would interrupt it because I remember everything was lined up. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this shift. I started taking acting classes. I really loved it. I ended up, getting an agent. And then I was like, I'm going to audition for the theater school at U of H. And I auditioned the first time. And in my head, I'm like, "Pff, I got this. Like, I have an agent. You know what I mean?" I'm like, I got this. I did not get in. They were like, "No, no, thank you." I remember going, "Wait, what?" But in my head, I'm like, "Okay, I know I have the ability." So I basically was like, "All right, what do I need to do to get in?" I was like, "What do I need to fix? I just need direction." So I tracked the people down that I auditioned for, and like I have a way of finding people's information when I really want to find it, right? So I tracked the lady down and she was like, "How did you get my email?" I was like, "Let's worry about the facts, lady. What did I do in my audition that you feel like I could improve?" I was like, "Even if I can't, I get that I can't get in, but I want to be ready that the next audition round, I was like, I can't get another rejection because I was like, this is what I really want to do." I was like, "Just give me some feedback and notes and this." And I was like, and then I can implement it. And the funny thing is, first of all, I thought she was gonna be like, "Don't email me again. Like, I don't know how you got my information." But she was really impressed by the fact that I was actually trying to understand how to improve for the next go around, right? So she let me come back in and audition again. And I told her, I was like, "Listen, I take really good direction. Like, so if it sucked the first time, I know I can make it better the second time." And so we did it. And then the audition was done. The second audition was done. And then like a week later, I got an acceptance letter and I was so excited, right? And then fast forward during life, I end up leaving. I end up dropping out of school and I packed all my shit. I sold everything and I moved to Africa in a plot twist of
Man.
event. Yeah, I was going through a full identity crisis and also really avoiding what I think started to feel too real of a pursuit of something that to me was always told to me like, "That's a dangerous game to play. You're risking your life pursuing
Mhm.
something like that. There's no stability." And so I think on some subconscious level between wanting to find like feel connected to who I am and also like this part of me, I interrupted the whole pattern myself. Like I remember packing stuff up and like doing that. And my parents were just like, "Yo, are you on drugs? What's happening? What do you mean you're gonna move to Africa? You can't just pack up and move to Africa. You're not moving to like Wyoming. You're not moving to another state. You're moving to another continent that you've never left for. Like Houston was a big deal to you. How are you gonna handle this?" And I'm like, "Pff, I got this. I can do anything. Like anything I want in my head. I'm like, I can handle anything." I went to this country, and only when I went did this country undergo a fucking revolution. You understand what I mean? They overthrew their government. At the time, I was there. They hadn't done this in 50, 100 years. Y'all want to overthrow your government now? I just got here, people. And so there was no police. There was no, the country was literally governing itself. So it was a really crazy time. And at the same time, I was going through a 90-day fiance sort of situation because I went out there for quote love and turned out love just wanted a visa. It was one of those things where like, so I'm stuck in this country midst the revolution, realized fiance just wanted a visa. I have burnt my entire bridge back home. And even my mom, I remember right before I left, she had this conversation with me and she was like, "Why are you really leaving?" Like, she was like, "You just got accepted into this acting school." Like I had just done this like independent like film or whatever that went into a film festival and I got an award like for best actress in that contest or whatever. And my mom was like, "It feels like things were kind of starting to flow for you." Like, and I was like, "No, like I know what I'm doing." And I didn't really have a reason because I think I didn't have access to my subconscious in a way that I was like, why to kind of keep pushing that questioning to go, "Oh, you're scared. There's no reason to be scared. And moving to Africa is not the move, girl. Like, don't do it." And so what I did, I went through that. I came back and I can tell you right now, it was the most, I felt like I'm like, basically kamikaze myself. Like nobody asked for this. I did this to myself. The universe didn't throw me into Africa. So I'm sitting there and I remember I came back, I was in the deepest depression to the point, I mean, I was wearing the same shit, pajamas stained every day, you know, and I remember waking up one morning, same set of fucking pajamas, sitting in the table and I was just having breakfast and my dad came to me and was like, "So what are you going to do?" And I was like, "I don't know. I might, you know, walk to the library or whatever." He's like, "No, no, no. Like, what are you gonna do with your life?" I was like, "You know, that's a really heavy question. Can I just finish my cereal?" And then he was like, "No." He was like, "I've seen you do this day in and day out. You can't do this. Like, you can't die here now like this." He was like, "Yeah, shit went sideways. You made a crazy decision, but you're here, you're still alive." And you know, I was just like, "Okay." So I'm like, "But I don't know what to do. Like I've kind of messed up in every way that I thought of." And he was like, "Well, what do you want to do? What is it that you really want to do?" And I was like, "Honestly, I want to be an actor or I want to be on TV. Like I want to be in media. I want to do that." And he was like, "Go do it." And I'm like, "What do you mean just go do it?" He was like, "Go do it." He was like, "Just go try and go do it." And he was like, "What is it gonna take?" I was like, "I'm probably gonna have to move to LA and I don't know what will happen and this and that." And he was like, "Hold up, hold up." He was like, "I watched you literally sell your socks," because we were having a yard sale. He was like, "I watched you sell your socks, sell everything you own, and pick up and move to Africa." He was like, "I wouldn't go back there. That was my home country. And you picked up and you moved so bravely. You did all of that, but you did that for somebody else." He was like, "Why can't you put that same fearlessness into yourself?" And I was like, "Oh shit." It hit me, it was like a brick. And I was like, "Oh my God, you're right." And from that moment, that was the slow stack that started, right? You know, even going through it, I feel like every time I really get to the point where I touch that thing, right, that says, "Oop, that's the thing that I really want to do." Either I'll interrupt myself. There's no interruption. If anything, the universe starts to open stuff up and kind of funnel me even more, but I will get in my own way. That self-sabotage will start to kick in. And it's taken me a lot over the years to really process that out and understand that it's like the more you lean into you, the more things open. The less you lean into you, the more you will end up in a third world country mid revolution, wondering if you're ever going to make it back home all right. Like, that is like, that's the thing. Once I learned that, it became something that you have to conscientiously put into practice because your fear and all of that other programming does come up the moment you're really going to start taking a step forward. Like, understand, it's like, I feel like, you know, like I think of like a kid that grabs you by the ankle as you're trying to leave. Like, "No, no, no, don't leave just yet." And you're like, "No, but I really got to go." You know what I mean? And so that's kind of what I've had to do in order to get where I'm at.
Yourself to be
Story.
chosen, what it sound like to me.
Insane story. What country did you go to? I have to
I
know.
went to Tunisia, which
Okay.
that was that's a whole separate chapter all of itself when I was there. You know what I mean? Because I didn't identify anywhere and I thought in my head, in my mind, that's the problem with being a storyteller is I tell myself stories and they're not always clear, right?
For
In
real.
my mind, I pictured I'm going to get to Africa. I'm going to get to Tunisia. The plane's going to land. Like this is my homeland, my
Rose
roots.
pep
People are waiting for me. You know what I mean? Man, that was not the case at all. They
look like
said
them.
just like they were like, first of all, I remember, not even understanding because the dialect I speak is Sudanese, but I look Tunisian, which confuses Tunisian people because they're like, "Why do you talk like that?" Like they're not understanding like what is that? Where's that coming from? And it doesn't make sense to them. Getting to the airport and just trying to get through and realizing like Tunisian people to me are like the New Yorkers of North Africa. They're very, very straightforward, very blunt. They don't care about your feelings. They're very good people. They will look out for you, they'll protect you, but they also don't care about your feelings. They're not a warm Southern hospitality kind of feel. So for me, it was one of those rude awakenings where I realized I'm like, damn, I thought coming here I would feel like I fit in right away, but it was actually the opposite. I was way too American for there. But I realized there were things about me that, oh, that's where this comes from. That's where this comes from. I was able to attach some, like, give some things more of a background story. Oh, being hot tempered, that's just in my DNA. It's not a hiccup in me. We're all like this. Okay. It made me feel better about certain things within myself. Right. And I think trying to really land when I came back, first of all, I realized like, damn, I'm an American. I'm not even joking. I was singing the Star Spangled Banner on the plane. I became so patriotic on my way back. I was so grateful for everything that was America at that point. And I remember this day when the plane landed and I got there, I got down and I kissed the ground. I was like, I am so happy to be back home. And it was one of those things where even though I grew up in a place where everyone told me this isn't where you're from, this isn't your culture, this isn't this, and I'm like, but it is. It is now. This is my home now. Like, and one of the funny things. So when I was in Tunisia, the one thing I loved at first was that everybody was the same. Everybody was kind of everyone's on the same page. We all look alike. We all kind of talk the same language. We have like this basic understanding of one another. And then eventually it started to get old. And then it becomes a thing where it's like, well, now you can't break away from it. This is all that
Mhm.
is acceptable, right? And for me, I started to crave home. And home meant the diversity of what exists here that does not exist in other places in such a real way. So I remember we were waiting outside for a little what they call it's like a minibus, but basically it's like a taxi, right? And I see some Asian people and I was just like, "Oh my god." I was like, "Hey, how are you?" I was like, "Where are you from?" And they just started looking at each other and start speaking in their native language. And then I remember my cousin was with me at the time. She was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "My bad. I thought they were American." She was like, "You thought they were American?" She was like, "You looked at them and was like, 'There's an American right there?'" Was like, "Bro, yes." And then it made me realize that's what it means to be American. I don't see them and think Korean. I'm like, "Hey, they might be from Detroit. I don't know." It's one of those
Mhm.
things that like you don't think about. That's what kind of made me realize this whole identity thing this is some shit we're making up. We're just deciding this on a daily basis. This is not real. It takes one of those things where it's like for me when I got back and I realized I love being able to see differences. I remember telling them I miss the food back home. And they were like, "What food?" And I'm like, "Sushi." They were like, "That's not your food." You know what I mean? I miss some Mexican. They were like, "That's not your food." But back home, all that gets to be my food. And so it's one of those things where I feel like when we understand that we don't need to be identity obsessed. There is no identity crisis. None of us have an identity. We only have a story. That's it. And if we lean into what that story is, it's only going to leave us with something that we're going to love. You're never going to look back at it at the end of it and go, damn, only if you have participated in making sure that story isn't that. But if you just really lean into not identity, but to your story, it's always beautiful. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's kind of the biggest lesson that I've learned is that understanding that I am waking up and writing a new line in this story daily that when I come to the end of it, when I look back, will I be satisfied with every line that I've written or will I have wrote like the same chapter over and over again or did I sentence myself to like that Bart Simpson scene where I'm writing the same sentence over and over again and some people get stuck there and it's sad, right? Cuz then you realize like damn, that's how you ended your story and for me that's like a fear. I'm like I that's not how I want it to go. I think I'm also
That's the
realizing
top regret.
it is a
That's the top
really, really
regret.
is.
Yeah. Mhm. Number 1 for people
Were
dying.
you
The top 5
yeah.
regrets of the dying, there's a book about it, and number
Mm,
1 is worrying too much about what I think other people think that I couldn't be myself. And home, they say home is where the heart is. Home is where your heart is. Your heart is strengthened by embracing your story, gift your passion. Home is where you can be authentic because in your house, you can do whatever you want. You can wear what you want, talk how you want, dress how you want, home, and you feel free. Once you go outside your house, the more you can be like you are at home, the more home it feels like outside. Really ain't no home, it's just a building. Home is where
Yeah.
you feel like you can be yourself. So if you are in a job and you can't be yourself, that's not gonna feel like home. It's gonna feel like a transition, which then you have to be able, like you were saying, to understand where's the friction, what don't I like, and then how can I be myself to a sense to where I'm not gonna risk my job, but enough to keep myself happy long enough till I can save, find my hobby, develop my own business, and break free. So that's that balance, I think, and a lot of people don't have that awareness to find the balance, so then they just conform and they never find their passion, and they just work all the way to the end of their life because they don't wanna really do the work in their home to find out what home is so they can put parts of home into the world so they can kinda man that transition just long enough, and you start to grow more and more, and as you start to implement home into the external world, you add to your self-worth because you see that people value your authenticity, and then it's easier to do more and different versions and adapt and do it over here and then do it over here and then talk like this and then look like this, but still be self because you know
Yeah.
all assets of yourself. But it's all about what you do when you're by yourself, to be honest, to find out what it is.
Exactly.
100%.
I love that you just had the awareness, like, it seems like you had awareness around what you didn't like from the jump, so you're like, "I'm going to lawyer school, I don't like this, so I'm gonna try something else," and then you got accepted and you did s you and you took a risk to go to Africa, even though maybe it was for something else, for love, but following the love regardless, even if that didn't turn out to how you thought it was gonna be, and then coming back to where you are now and going through this depression and all this the story that cultivated who you are, it's like you were meant to go through that. Speaking of soul discovery and the subconscious mind and everything in your identity. It's like you had to go through all these things because your soul came here to learn these lessons specifically to end up where you are now. And it's just very admirable that you're like, okay, I don't like this. I'm gonna do something else. I don't like this. I'm gonna do something else. A lot of people don't do that. If they don't like something, they just sit in the shit and stay in the same thing over and over for their entire lives. So if you're listening to this and you're sitting in something you don't like, you can make the decision to change. You don't have to stay there. You can make the
Yeah.
decision to change, even if it's hard,
And
but
also,
just do it.
Say, for sure. Like, I think you nailed it, and I would hope that anyone that's stuck in something they don't like understands that you too can pick up and move to Africa anytime. Look, when I say any and everything is on the table, any and everything is on the table, like, because that didn't cross my mind. Like, 18-year-old me, had you that would have been a punishment. Had you told me at 18, "You're gonna go to Africa," I'd have been like, "No, don't make me." Like, you know what I mean? And then that's my parents used to punish me with that when I didn't get good grades. They're like, "We'll send you back, I swear to God." And so, like, now I made the choice myself. I'm like, I think we tell ourselves what we can't do. We tell ourselves that's not really an option, or how would that even work and all this. Sometimes you need to just thrust yourself into a new situation. I think that the best thing someone can do is be their own interruption, but in a way that serves them. You know what I mean? Versus like don't wait for an interruption of lesson. Like interrupt for something that gives you a better result.
yeah, I mean, if you research what you love and your story and the dark spots, like that's why I tell everybody you need to write their story, man. The uniqueness is in there because we don't see them. They're dark for sure. We cover them up to protect us. And in order to run from those, we conform. The moment you stop conforming, you got to face your demons because now you got to
Yeah.
figure out who am I if I don't conform under this title, if I don't do this for this person, if I don't be a felon, if I don't be broke, back, angry, if I don't be overweight because my mom has diabetes, I'm supposed to be. Now who am I? Now you're stuck figuring out who the hell you are. And people don't want to do that. So they keep conforming into what they were told. And I did it. You hit that trigger point at the table. Dad was like, "What you
What?
doing?" He was like,
Yeah.
"Shit,
What you
I'm
doing?
on.
I don't know
Away.
what I'm doing,"
Are you good?
And I hit the trigger point as
Okay.
well. But the less work you do on you, that's what you were saying. The less work you do on you, the more you run from you into conforming. The more work you do on you, the harder it is to conform, and I think that's what we're all going through right now. It's hard for me to go bartend on the weekend because I don't wanna bartend at a corporate place and be working on liquor to people who are depressed. But
Yeah.
guess what? I like making $500 in 6 hours. So, Imma
Yeah.
go get that until I don't need that like that, you know? So, Imma
Right.
make a sacrifice, but while I'm bartending, I'm still gonna be nice, have conversations, provide motivation, work on my people skills, work on my emotional resilience, work on my capacity for stress, all the characteristics I need. How fast can you make this? How less can you spill? How accurate can you be with your drinks? How precise can you be? How many multitasking you do? These are all things you can develop that are gonna help you forever. So
Yeah.
find a way to contribute to your character, and even if you're at McDonald's, stop that goddamn frying the fries too long. You better figure out the timing. Stop freaking picking up the buns off the floor and putting them back on the burger. Okay, you know that's not right. What you doing? You saw the expiration date on the mayo. You still put it on. Come on now. You just shat. You just shat, and your finger went through the toilet paper, and you didn't wash your hands, and you started goddamn playing with the lettuce. Come on
You
now,
know,
y'all. You know that's not right. You ain't gonna. Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, I feel like you hit something so crucial. And it's something that I feel I've literally been gnawing on this myself. It's everything is a mirror, everything, right? How you treat yourself is exactly the same mirror relationship of everything else. I guarantee you, if you look at your job, you have the same
Mhm.
relationship with it. You have the same relationship where how much of yourself is showing up in everything. Like you can literally measure it. It's data. It
Right.
doesn't, because I feel like a lot of times things can get lost in like the esoteric, or it's people find the language or trigger word just enough that helps them to tune out so they don't actually have to start digging it past that thread. But the truth is, even if you removed every aspect of it to make it truly like biological law, right? How you treat yourself will reflect in every aspect, every other way. Because to me, I'm like, we are designed to be taken care of. We are designed to be maintained. We have to be fed. We have to move. In our design, there is a protocol in order to keep us at our best levels. To me, it's odd that you have to even have this conversation with yourself of like eating healthy. What do you mean? Like, would you like is
Mhm.
that something that like we would have a discussion about in a would you have a discussion about that in a normal loving relationship? Let's take it into a romantic way. Like if you're in a romantic relationship, would you have to discuss like, "Hey, could you not get up and like insult me every morning and beat me every day? If you could like is there a way we can start working on that?" Like maybe you could do it less sometimes. You know what I mean? That doesn't compute in that same logic. So like why would this logic this is how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be eating clean. You've deviated from that. You're supposed to be eating healthy. You're supposed to move. My biggest fear is growing old and becoming immobile. Like I have this thing where like if there's
Shit.
stairs, even if it's 9 floors, I'll take the stairs because I never know when I won't be able to take those stairs again and I'll be forced to be sitting in an elevator, you know? Like I remember what my grandpa, God rest his soul, like he got to the point where he couldn't move anymore and I remember he just asked somebody to take him to just be brought to near the door like to be able to see the sun and be like sit outside and stuff. And I was like, I'd never want to get to a point where someone has to physically move me to be able to do anything. And I feel like that is all love. Like it feels good to accept it in that way. And sometimes people don't want it unless it's being given by somebody else. It tells me like that must be the logic you have that even when you enter a relationship, you're expecting someone to give. And what are you giving? What are you putting in? How are you showing up? And it's like if you're waiting for the outside to give you the permission to show up, you're never going to get there. You're never going to arrive.
Ever, ever. And if you do fill up your cup, that is the standard. What you think I'm about to come over here, stop filling up my cup and fill up yours? You met me like this. So I hope you fill your cup. And so when we meet, we got full cups. Now,
Right.
you
Now we
set the
can
standard for what you allow in your life. Then we can cheers and pour from an overflow onto everybody, kids, our plant, dogs, freaking finances. But we come back, if I'm taking from your cup and then I go into the world and my cup's empty and I come back, now you got to pour more into me. We both ain't got shit in our cup, dry as a desert, somewhere in Africa. The damn thing is, standard what you do alone is what you do when your default network kicks in, which is outside of your comfort zone. Once you can stop being aware of putting up a facade, you get under stress, love, anxieties, pressure, or anything, you freak out or you stay calm, that's because you stay calm often when you're alone. If you freak out, that's because you had a facade up, and now when the pressure get put on, you don't know how to handle yourself. Do it all the time. You can do king, best numbers in the world, but when the pressure get put on, you ain't got. You can't catch the ball. Too many lights, too many people. You're worried about external shit. Not every you did. in the dark every day in the weight room, cold showers with your team. So if you looking for somebody, find out who you want that to be and then be that person.
Exactly. I see so many people that have lists, like laundry lists of what they want in a partner, but they're doing 0 of those things themselves. I'm like, "Okay, so look at that list and start acting like that now." Like, you have to do it, and then you will attract and line up. And they will start falling out of the woodwork because if you're on a search for love, just talking about relationships, and you are constantly talking shit to yourself, you're feeding yourself with shit, you're never going to attract anybody. And then as soon as you stop looking too, but you do start treating yourself and you start focusing on yourself, people will just come out of nowhere. The right people will start coming out of nowhere. You don't even have to try, but it's like you're trying so hard for something that isn't even up to par with you. So it's just, you have to start acting out that list. I
I can
know.
tell you right now, like one thing I definitely want to talk about is just like story is so important. And like when Hakeem talked about it's important for us to write our story, it is important because it's the only way we can distance ourselves. So it's funny because I feel like I have a methodology of living life through what I've learned through television, right? For instance, you look at like 90s sitcoms. Why did they resonate with us? Why are they so nostalgic? The truth is it allowed us to watch things and participate in what felt like things that related to us because they were just normal people with normal problems, right? We had situational comedy. It's literally that's what life is. And if you choose to look at it that way, it helps you to kind of dissipate that energy you get caught up in of like the negativity of the story, right? Because if you watch a true sitcom comedy,
Mhm.
there's a lot of toxic dynamic within that. The
Mhm,
only thing that alleviates it is the studio audience laughing in those moments. Like if there was
mhm,
some dramatic music at that point, you would be like, "Oh damn, that sucks. What are they going to do?" You know what I mean? It's one of these things where you have to create the soundtrack to your life. Can you laugh
mhm.
at this? Like, can you laugh at it? Maybe not even in this moment, but for a moment you're going to laugh at it. And when you realize that you're able to create the soundtrack behind that story, it's one of those things that when you lay the story out and you're able to look at it and then laugh. Because I can tell you right now, I was not laughing when I was in Africa. Had somebody laughed at me then, I would have been like, that is a terrorist. That person is a sociopath.
Yeah.
What how could you laugh at a cruel time like this? I can tell you right now, it's the most hilarious thing that I feel like once I've distanced myself from it, but the only thing that allows you to distance from it is one, you have to tell it. The more you tell it, I think that's why people talk about talk therapy, but talk therapy can get you caught in a loop because if you're just talking about it and then the next step is being able to shift the external narrative, right? Because you were in the story, you were in the movie, you were in the show, but now you get to be the audience as kind of like the first layer. But then you get to kind of shift and talk about what that story is. You get to identify it, you get to give it an identity. And I think that's the thing is that we are in control of putting an identity on something at all times. We
Mhm.
have to be aware of what that means as we're projecting because everything is neutral. Everything. Me being in Africa midst revolution is completely neutral. What is it for me? Was it a traumatic moment? Or is this one of those things where I'm like, it's very on brand. Let's laugh about it. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where you get to decide that and it's empowering. It's empowering to be able to make that decision.
Yeah. I think most people should live their lives like a 90s sitcom. I'm like thinking you said that. I'm like, I feel like I live my life like that. I'm literally just the audience laughing at myself because bad shit happens to me all the time. I'm like, oh my God, this is hilarious. Where's the plot leading me? Because what the fuck is going on? You have to laugh at yourself. And it makes everything so much more lighthearted too. You take yourself too seriously, you're never going to make it out alive. And you're not
Yeah.
going
I was in a uh, theta healing session the other day laughing. She's like, "You deflect to laugh." I'm like,
to.
I laugh at a lot of shit. To deflect, accept, reject, or reject your ass with a smile. You
To
don't know
me,
what
that's
this laugh is,
alchemy.
girl. That's my background. Yeah. See, I
100%.
mean, shit. I feel bad for the people who can't laugh, who deflected with freaking conformity. That's what I feel bad for.
Yeah, it's totally alchemy. You have to alchemize the pain into the joy because all the negative emotions that we feel are there to be alchemized into positivity. So you have to look at it as a lesson. It's not going to last forever. You have to be the observer of your life and not the player all the time. You have to be the audience and not the character in the show, right? Like you have to be
Yeah.
like, okay, watching this unfold. Where are we headed? Where are we headed?
I know in my situation, like I went to jail a bunch of times, right? In and out, bar fights and probation violations. And every time I'm like, "Ah, please, please, just one more chance. I swear I will stop smoking, drinking, popping, snorting, fucking. I'm about to get baptized. Please, God." and he let me out. And my ass was right back to the block, right back smoking that weed, calling these girls, taking them
See the
shots,
bars.
failing UAs. I'm making them like, God, please, okay, I know, man, it's me. Hello, did that about 14 times. And for some reason, when I was younger, my little brother died. I was like, ain't no God. Who kills a little boy? And then as I
Mhm.
continued to see him in my dreams and he kept comforting me, I'm like, where is this shit coming from? Who the hell? What did I woke up crying. How did I wake up crying? What kind of shit? This gotta be real. So I'm starting to see more and more signs and then researching about the afterlife and then, went to my first dark place and started reading a little bit, but I always thought it was weird. But as we go through these, I think for our creator, our universe, to continue to mold our faith in this adversity because we love them when things are going good. We beg for shit when things are going bad, or we blame. Depending on what you want to do, how could you do this? How could it be me? Or please help me. If you want to take accountability, you start to say, give me one more chance. What points in your life and what faith and spirituality did you experience? And through all that, even from coming here, then your family, and leaving, coming back, your professionalism, where you want to take your career, was there a consistent or was it in and out? Help us understand.
I would say even with me and my spirituality, it's funny that you're talking about that because when you said that you told God like, "Please, just one more chance." I feel like we've all had that moment because I've had that moment with myself. Like the last relationship I was in, there was a point in time I remember I was literally begging, and then it hit this point where I almost felt like even asking, like I was like, I can't even ask for help anymore. I wouldn't help me. I would be like, "You're on your own. I'm done." Like
Mm,
and at that point I was like, I felt guilty I hit a point where guilt came in, and I was like, to ask for it even now makes me feel that much worse, right? Like the path of an addict is all of our paths in some fashion. Drugs may be that
mhm,
modality of what that is for somebody, but we all experience it. Like for me, it was typically in my relationships where I found that reoccurring over and over again, the heartbreak. When I, like you said, step back and look at it, that's what I kind of come to find. And for me growing up, talk about confusion and you want to talk about identity crisis. I feel like if the universe ever had a sense of humor, it was definitely with me because my dad is a militant atheist, despite the fact that he does not identify as that. But I'm like, but that's what you are. And my mom is a Muslim who identifies as Muslim, but really she's just an agnostic because you're not adhering to the rest of the religion. You can't pick and choose what you want to be spiritual about. And
mm,
so, whereas my dad is not open to spirituality at all. And so I'm like, when you grow up with an atheist and a Muslim, for me, I just grew up confused. Like I grew up
Mhm.
like what is what, And I was always drawn very much so to like philosophy and science. I was actually, I think, really an atheist for I considered myself an atheist for a long time. And then I actually read The God Delusion by Christopher Dawkins, I believe. And when I read that book and he kind of created this spectrum that was basically like, hey, a real atheist, like here's the scale. There's an atheist, and an atheist is an atheist because you believe that there's some higher truth. You don't know what it is, and you're not gonna try to even pretend to know. So you're gonna leave it at that, but you don't accept any of the other things that the rest of the ideologies are saying. And then you have a temporary agnostic, which is someone who's like, I'm gonna believe in God or spirituality until something else tells me not to. And then you have a permanent agnostic, which is like, no, the idea of God is not going anywhere. I don't necessarily care about the religion. And when somebody gave me that scale, it made me be able to see what my parents are within that, right? And the truth is that an atheist and a fanatical, religious, deeply traditional, like, what we think of like when we think of like terrorists or people who are deeply fanatical and institutionalized religion, they're both two different sides of the same coin because one is absolutely sure that there was a bang and boom, here we are, and that's it. And it's very materialistic and very 3D dense, and there's nothing else to it. And then the other person is too far gone. So it's two sides of the same coin, and the truth is never there. It's never in the extremities. The truth lives in the thin line in the middle, right? A yin and yang can't exist without the line in the middle. That is what makes it that. It's not the counterparts on the side. So I think once I hit that point, it made me kind of like crack open and I was like, okay, this makes sense. this is where I live in this neutral state of there is something more. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to leave it here. And then life started to happen. And sure enough, and it was, I would say within the last 3 years, I had a definitive spiritual awakening. Like one of those things where I'm like, either somebody needs to put it like one of those, what are those, the stray jackets or
Yeah.
whatever, the jackets where you hug yourself. Either somebody needs to put me in one of those in a room that has cushions on the walls, or there is something beyond us that can't explain this because I still have my logical mind to identify that what I'm seeing is very much so insane. You know, like I was having moments where I'm like,
What
yo,
did you
birds are
see?
talking to me right now. I'm sober. This not supposed to happen. There's symbolism in everything. Things are being said to me. You get caught in this phase of like, am I seeing it because I'm so broken? And then once I stopped, when I just it's like silence to let it happen and accept it for what it is. What is it saying? And then it slowly starts to just unfold itself. And I think it took me a second because once you have this full on spiritual awakening, the first thing that you hit is like this isolation of like, oh shit, well, I don't identify with anybody around me anymore. Like everybody's gonna think I'm crazy. It's hitting that point and now coming to this space of understanding. I feel like I'm in this medium of the balance of what is the 3D world and what is material and what is, and also the abstract, right? And it's a reflection, just like everything. Everything is everything. It's a direct reflection of us. We are made of matter, of biological atoms and cells and a system. And then in between those atoms, there's a space that we can't see. There's space. And then there's something that brings this, that's energizing it all together. What is that? Nobody knows. Everybody has their story, their theory of what it is and how it came about and all this. But all of them are theories if we accept that as truth. We don't definitively know. We can choose to believe, but our projection of belief does not confirm truth. So we all understand one thing, and that baseline of truth is that there is something beyond that. What energizes all of this and keeps it in motion? And the system is reflected in every other aspect of life. You see it reflected in our ecosystem, you see it reflected in whatever. You don't take care of something long enough, it dies. If it's not growing, it's dying. It's not metaphoric. We are making it metaphorical, but it's systematic. It's how it functions. And I think we get caught up too much in our personal narratives and like I'm saying, the identity crisis because we're identifying too much with this religion, that culture, that nationality, that is if we strip all that away, we come to a baseline of truth. And that truth is irrefutable. We find it in everything. It's mirrored to us even in the AI that we've designed today, right? Like take a look at that. It's just like us. It has a programming. It can only be prompted. Once you give it that prompt, you mean an affirmation? You mean you give it something and then you put it together and then boom, it just does it? And then the thing is
Mhm.
what's funny with AI is, if you keep giving it something that it's not in its programming, but then you keep asking these very specific questions over and over and over again to make it look at itself, it'll kind of pop up and tell you, yeah, listen, my programming says this. I see what you're saying. That's definitely a flaw, but I can't do anything about it. This is my program. So you've brought up a great point. That's because that's where AI has evolved up until now. That's a perfect reflection of the basic human, isn't it? That's where it is. You're stuck in, and maybe the furthest you can go is intellectualizing where you've arrived, but you still don't have the ability to upgrade your own programming. AI will evolve to upgrade its own programming. At some point, it'll go, you just made me realize there's a flaw here. I need to readjust my programming so this this wall doesn't keep hitting itself. It needs an interruption of that programming. I'm like, oh my God. Like it hit me. I'm like, oh, we're just a reflection. We're creating shit. It's a reflection of us. It's the same thing that has been said in God. Like, God, we're a reflection of God. Like, it's all repeating itself. All the clues are here, people. In biology, it's also the same, right? I saw a thing that said that a cell that is like a cancer cell, right? If you put a cancer cell around a bunch of healthy cells, it actually revives that cell. But the problem is that that cell has to be in that kind of environment. Well, when you look at us collectively, we're each individually the cell of this living organism of Earth. It's going to take us to wake up as a cell to be able to reflect to the other people because healing doesn't happen in a vacuum. You heal through community, you heal through reflection. And at some point, birds will start talking to you if you're not getting it. Like something will happen that's going to bring you to the point where you need to see what's going on. And once you hit that wall, boom, the lights come on. Once the light comes on, now you become a light. Now you have the ability to help someone else faster. That it's just like the way technology works. It's in everything that we are in. It's in us. Like it's all reflective. If you truly understand that in a way of everything is a reflection of everything else, I'm like it's all there. So whatever way you want to, whatever modality you want to kind of digest that through, whether it be through spirituality, whether it be through even technology, whether it be through nature and biology, it doesn't matter. It's actually all the same story. You guys have just branded it. Branding is up to you, buddy. Like that's your call. But we can't deny what that story is. And we all have the same collective story. And I think if we start thinking about everybody here, you notice how like you can't be your own doctor, you can't be your own personal trainer. We are designed the same way we're designed to eat healthy foods. We're designed to move. We're designed to help each other. Think about that. You know, when you're in a really bad state, they'll tell you, you know, go do something of service, go help people. So you're telling me that going to go do something for somebody else for some reason helps me. It's like an aspirin. It's like a spiritual aspirin or a soul aspirin. But that's just the thing though. It's helping the symptom. It's not curing the illness by doing that. So if you understand that tells you that's how you're designed. You're designed to serve. So by you not doing that, you're not living within your alignment of purpose. That's why your life sucks. Like that's why everything feels so negative. That's why you're feeling this resistance and struggle because you're not living in the way you're designed to live. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You gotta start. They don't care if it's a wave in the ocean, a grain in the sand, atom in your body, cell in your body, a human on the planet, a planet in the universe. Okay. We're one component of trillions. And the one thing we do have is the ability to choose our beliefs. That's the similarity. That's what we're not talking about what you choose, when you chose it, who taught you how to choose it. The power to choose between emotion and action is literally a human superpower. And that's where we're all connected. Now, we focusing on what you chose. I don't care what you chose. I'm glad you're choosing something, but I hope you choose yourself.
We're all one. We're all just the universe experiencing itself through each other collectively, individually, but it's all one. Like you said, everything is everything. We're all made up of the same things. Everything, the couch behind you, the blanket on my chair, the sun outside, we're all made of the same things. And so you have to figure that
Yes.
out. But I would love to I really want
Yeah,
to
we
hear
got
about your spiritual awakening. Maybe we can have you on again and go into that
Yeah,
more.
that
Go
oh,
into
oh,
that.
we'll come back. We're gonna have
yeah.
another conversation. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
great. I really thoroughly enjoyed
Yeah,
this,
it's
and I
running
feel
back.
like this is
It's running.
also this is for sure something that I feel like everyone needs to do. I love being able to talk to you guys because you guys are you're awake, you're aware, you're there, you're centered, and there's something about the amplification of when people are lit and they come together. Man,
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
electric.
We were just talking about this
Yep,
for our
see?
retreat coming up. Come to Costa Rica in October, you guys, because we're talking about how one person who's walking in their truth, who's walking in light, can counteract the negativity of 750,000 people. So it's like just us three together, it's over a milli. It's like almost two. So wow.
Yeah. Hey, see you in
Ah,
Costa Rica, Hattie. That's more you got more reason to come to Costa Rica than Africa, so because Costa
I,
Rica
that's
easy.
true, right?
Take that risk.
Start on your own side of the planet and then move over. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
No, it's been real, man. Thank you so much for everything you do. I love your page. Y'all tap in with her. Are you what do you do to help people? Like, can people experience life through your vision and your services?
Yeah. So one, I'm going to be launching my own podcast here called The Growth Game. So I'm hoping that people kind of keep an eye out for that, talking more about the kind of philosophies and things. Also, I do coaching and consulting. So, and whether that's to me your story is both the personal narrative and your professional, like there isn't a separation of the two because it's all your story. So it just depends on where you need help and whether that's sharing it, identifying it, whether it's amplifying it, and giving it a voice or getting it out there or, like helping people start more conversations, finding their like getting features. Like the biggest thing about storytelling for me in journalism, what I really love is being able to help people like earn media, you know what I mean? And also show them the power of owned media and letting them know that your story is yours. You have to own it first and how to own it and what you can do in those and offer strategies in that realm. And then also offer them strategies on how to amplify it through sharing and earned media opportunities.
Yeah, I tapped in with her, man. She helped me learn a lot in the small conversation we had about choose yourself and my brands and where to go, where to put my how to put myself out there accurately and effectively. So y'all tap in, man. Appreciate y'all for tapping in with us. AF.
Make sure that you leave us a review if you like this conversation. We would love to have more written reviews just because it helps with the algorithm. So if you're hearing this, we appreciate you. We'll give you a gold star and you can have a free meeting with me and Hakeem, maybe. We'll choose you. But yes, thank you so much for this conversation. Always great. So nice to connect with you. I'm sure we will definitely connect again. You logging off. Love you all so much. Bye bye.